Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Jennifer's Scrapping Cane. Today I'm sharing an 11 by 8.5 layout. This is for Color Rush Studios and I'm on the design team. I am using the April kit Wild Soul. I absolutely love this kit, still loving it. And this is going to be the third layout that I've created. I will have another one next Friday also. Today's layout is featuring myself and my youngest son. I'm going to show you the papers that I chose, and those are just the ones that I picked out just for this layout. Here are the ephemera pieces that I picked out, mainly a whole bunch of flowers, and I picked out matching colors to the papers that I planned on using. Not everything that's shown here makes it on the layout, just so you know. And then the pom-pom trim in blue I plan on using on the layout. I'm going to use a white cardstock background, and this is a basil cardstock, so it does warp a little bit. Since I'm doing the packaging technique, I'm using 3 different shimmers paints, and they're all just different pink tones. So the first one I'm starting with is a very light pink, and I'm just patting it down and adding a little bit of water. Sometimes I don't add the water. And I'll roll it up with the paper towel roll. And you can see on camera it looks really light. In person, it was like a baby pink. It's definitely light, not very bright. And then I'll go back in and I'm going to add this other one. And I made sure that it didn't cover all of the lighter colored one on the bottom. So it's showing both. And when you do the packaging technique, it always looks like a hot mess. But just keep going, because eventually it'll turn out okay. And this one actually looks pretty neat in the end, but it really does just look like I'm throwing paint at the paper. And I actually forget to do the left hand side. I need a little bit more on it, but I didn't make a line of where I needed that to be. And I didn't want to just waste the paint, so I was going to see what it looked like first and see if the flowers cover it up enough that I didn't need to add it, or if I did need to come back and add it. I do end up coming back and adding a little bit more to the left hand side at the top. And I'm going to do a little bit of splatters with the darker pink one here in a minute after I get done adding just a little bit more. And here I'm going to add the splatters, and then I will let it dry and not roll up that. And the reason that is because when you do the splatters at the end like that and you don't roll it up, it kind of changes the tone of the darker pink. So you can kind of see them in the close-ups, but not really. A lot of it gets covered up. But that's just the idea of mixed media, and I didn't want the stark white background at the top and the bottom. So that was my way of adding just a little bit of something. And here I'm rolling up the paper, or folding the paper, I guess. It's not really a roll. It looks like a roll, but it's creased, and then I lay it up against the line with the stripes in the background and make sure that it's straight, and then I'm gonna fold it up one more time, and I'll tape down that one. And this was a challenge in the Facebook group for Color Rush Studios this month. We were to use the sketch, and also we were challenged to fold something on the layout. So I chose to do it like this. I haven't created a layout like this one in a while. So this was fun to play with. And my photo is basically a 4x6. They're 2 3x4 pictures on top of one another. So I'm going to add white cardstock for the background, and then this one here is the cut apart sheet. I'm going to cut a little tag that says I love you, and then I backed my photo with the blue cardstock paper, or the pattern paper. So this one here, and then I'll rough up the edges of that, and the large tag is where I'm going to place my photo. And I just cut that. I don't have a tag die that big, or didn't cut it with the machine. I just cut it as a rectangle and then cut the little corners off at the top. And that's probably one of my favorite pattern papers too, is that hot bright pink and then the darker bluish purple color. And at first I thought, or no, I was going to leave it like that. I'm going to put the flower at the top. I was going to put a ribbon or a trim, one of the frazzles through it, but decided against that. Instead, I decided to use the pom-pom trim um, on the top and the bottom of the pattern paper, the striped pattern paper. But first, I'm going to come back in and add that mixed media over here on the left-hand side. And I need to add all three colors back because otherwise it won't really match the rest of the mixed media. It looks a different tone in real life. On camera, it kind of looks like it matches, but in real life, if you don't add all three colors, you won't see the same, they won't look the same as the other ones. And that one I kind of dripped a really big drip, but I just make it work in the end. It's okay. And I'm going to add that here. And then I add a little bit more splatters, and I'm just going to, I don't know if I roll it up or if I let it dry. We'll see here in a minute. I roll it up. So yeah, so I didn't really let it dry. I just kind of let it dry while I was getting my other little items together before I was going to attach them to the layout. So there you can see it's pretty much dry at this point. The shimmers doesn't really take very long to dry if you're rolling it up with a paper towel. Sorry, got a phone call. So here I'm just making sure the paper is actually even. I don't have a T-square ruler. I don't really use one since I don't do 12 by 12. But I'm kind of thinking of investing in one because every once in a while when I want it to be really straight, I really think that the T-square would help me line it up straight. But basically what I was doing is drawing a pencil line, and then I'm going to add the roll you see up there. Well, now I have it in my hand, but this tape here is double face tape, and I'm just going to lay it directly on the pencil line that I drew. And then I'm going to lay the pom-pom trim on top of that double face tape. And the pom-pom trim, if you've never worked with it, has like a little tiny edge on it. And then the pom-poms. So the tiny edge is what I'm pushing down into the double-sided tape. And you'll see me do that here. And I'm going to use, it's actually a rub-on tool that I use. So it's just like a ballpoint end. And I'm going to rub the pom-pom trim into that double face tape. And that was just to give it a little extra force so that it would stay attached to the paper. There you go. I have that tool in my hand and I'm just running it across, making sure it's going to stay attached down. And the pom-pom trim is actually not very hard to cut, but my scissors, for whatever reason, were not working correctly for me. So I was struggling to cut this. So in a minute, you'll see I pretty much cut away, and I'll come back and I have the pattern paper down and I'm getting ready to attach the photo. And the reason being is because I was struggling to get it cut. So I cut a lot of that part out. There was no reason for you guys to watch me just struggle. So, and most of the time my head was in the way because I was looking over the layout trying to make sure I cut it straight, or at least where it would look straight when it's tucked back in under the pattern paper. So here you can see I'm laying down the pattern paper, and it's pretty much exactly where it needs to be. And I start cutting off the pom-poms, and at first I thought I was going to be able to add the tag photo just over the pom-poms, but it's really thick. So I decided to go ahead and cut those. Again, I cut that part out just because I was struggling. But I added play foam behind the tag, and then added the tag down, and I cut the trim at the top and the bottom where it's not showing. So if it was behind the tag, I cut it off. And that was just in the end because it was too thick. I didn't want it to be that bulky of a layout. And here I'm adding a little bit of play foam or foam to the top part of the flower. So the stem does not have any kind of foam on it, but the flower petals do. And that was just to give a little bit more dimension here or there, because that folded paper, adds quite a bit of dimension up. So if you don't add it to the other items, they're going to really look, I guess, off level with each other. Plus, when you put it in the album, I don't want it to flat completely out. So the foam kind of helps it from doing that. And this little bird is the same little purple tone, so I just added it up there at the top. And I'm just tucking in the little pom-pom right there. And I do add a little bit of liquid glue at the end, just on the ends of the pom-poms, to make sure that they stay and they don't come unraveled or anything. And I've worked with pom-pom trim before, and I've tucked it in or put it so that it, pops out. And it stays in place pretty well, as long as you do either the double face tape or liquid glue and hold it in place till it dries. Here's one more little flower. In all of the flowers, I also fussy cut the white edge off of them. There is a little tiny white edge on them, as you'll see in the close-ups, but not as big as it was originally on the pieces. And that's just a preference of mine. I would rather not have that big white edge. So I trimmed them down. And here I'm adding the title, Copy Me. This was something he used to say when he was little. He's probably about 3.5 in these photos, I believe is what I figured out. I haven't added the date yet. I'll usually add the date with a date stamp, and I'll put it somewhere on the layout. This one will probably go in the right-hand corner. And he used to always say, he would say, let's take a selfie and you can copy me. And he would smile or make a funny face, and he would want us to, look the same in the photo with our funny face. So that's why I titled it Copy Me. And that little bit of journaling, or, something about why it's titled Copy Me, will be on the back of the layout on this one. I don't really find there's any need to put it on the front, so I'll just put it in the back. And here I'm just adding, these are little, like, one's an asterisk, or two are an asterisk actually, on top of the flowers. And then I didn't have one more asterisk, so instead I just took 3 little, like, dots from the thickers letters, and I added it to that top flower. So there, I went off camera. I made sure I added liquid glue to all the thickers, because as usual, they do not stick without a little extra glue. And it's done. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. I should have another Color Rush Studios layout up for next Friday, and check out their website in the description below.